President Trump kicking off the first major international trip of his second term today, expected to visit Saudi Arabia, Qatar, and the UAE, as top tech CEOs also head to the region for an investor conference. Our Deirdre Bosa digs into that for today's Tech Check. Morning, Dee.
Hey, good morning, Carl. Chips are the new diplomatic currency, so it only makes sense that tech and AI are also in tow this week, including some of the biggest names in the space. Jensen Huang, Ruth Porat, Alex Karp. They are on the agenda for the Saudi-U.S. Investment Forum in Riyadh. You've also got Sam Altman, Elon Musk, Mark Zuckerberg also reportedly will be there. Now, why? For Gulf nations, this is a chance to secure the chips and partnerships needed to get into the AI power race, bring the next computing revolution to their own borders. For U.S. tech and for the Trump administration, it's access to sovereign wealth, cheap energy, and a new front in the AI trade, just as China is catching up and just as export bans shut out NVIDIA and others. Now, put another way, the Middle East could open the door to multi-billion-dollar deals in a region that is eager to replace Beijing as the next big buyer, and that could be a catalyst for the trade itself. This is also a return to familiar territory. During Trump's first term, he forged close ties with Gulf leaders, celebrated Saudi investments. He's now bringing that same approach to AI with chips as the new golden ticket. Now, Gulf states, they have already offered the president trillions of dollars in promised investments, $600 billion from Saudi Arabia over the next 4 years, $1.4 trillion from the UAE over the next decade, including in AI and semis. But that access does come with a price. The Biden administration warned that loosening controls could shift AI infrastructure and influence outside U.S. allies. They were wary of autocratic regimes with ties to China and worried that U.S. chips could end up strengthening Beijing indirectly. We've certainly seen that in the Southeast Asian region. Now, if guardrails do come down, which people close to Trump, like AI czar David Sachs, they're now arguing for, there could be a trade-off here. Short-term deals in exchange for longer-term strategic risk. That's all going to be on display this week, guys.
Do we have a sense, Deirdre, of what China is doing about all this? If, all of these tech CEOs are going to Saudi Arabia, I mean, does China have a similar confab where their big tech CEOs and executives also go to Saudi?
Well, China is basically looking internally, right, which they have been doing for years. They're building up their own AI champions and giants, and they're trying to get pickup from companies and capital in the Middle East. So Huawei, right, is a name that comes up time and time again. The idea that everything that the U.S. has done to sort of contain American tech in China has actually helped boost some of their own companies. So Huawei is building their own chips. They're building their own infrastructure. They become a cloud giant. They're getting closer and closer to actually competing with our own chip giants. And they could be looking as well to the Middle East to sell some of this stuff. Right now, of course, the U.S. is still seen as so much farther ahead. And that's why, chips have become this bargaining power. It's not difficult for President Trump and for these companies to sell their chips in a place like the Middle East because demand is just so red hot if China is not going to do it. But be rest assured, China is working on its own end to try and build up its own national AI champions.
Yeah, I can imagine they're not ignoring this. Deirdre, thank you so much.